It's called Crack Row, and the people there are crack addicts. And they've been there for 30 days. They're living in the benches, literally, doing their crack.
The addicts on Crack Row are the most obvious victims. But across America, all sorts of people are doing it. In the East, it's called crack. In the West, it's known as rock. Some call it base. It's cocaine powder mixed with baking soda, then cooked in water to a crystal form that can be smoked. This method is so simple, crack can be made in small individual amounts like this, or mass-produced in much larger chunks, in stovetop pots or even microwave ovens.
Recently, some homegrown evil genius has discovered a cheap, efficient way to make crack accessible and available to all those who can afford it. And afford it is only $5, $10.
Sterling Johnson, New York narcotics prosecutor.
Some of the people who have taken this crack said it is a greater experience than a sexual orgasm. That's what they equate it with. For $5.
For that $5 or $10, the buyer gets a tiny vial like this with chunks of crack in it, enough for 1 or 2 smokes. Crack is not just the latest drug fad. There has never been a drug on the market cheaper, easier to use, or more addictive than crack. It's so cheap, so available, an estimated 2,000 Americans try crack for the first time every day. Many of them are teenagers.
It just numbs you all over. You hear bells. You're always moving. It's a pretty good high sometimes.
The inhaled cocaine vapor goes straight from the glass pipe stem to the brain, affecting the smoker much faster than cocaine powder snorted. In 5 to 15 seconds, the crack user is high.
When you put it down, it's like the stem talks to you. You walk away from the stem, it's saying, calling you back. Come in. Come, spend the rest of your money. Tell him.
Few who try crack can resist the craving for more. Experts say it's more addictive than heroin.
Cocaine is far more addictive, far more dangerous, far more toxic, and much more likely to kill you.
Dr. Arnold Washington is the research director of the National Cocaine Hotline.
The high on crack lasts all of 3 to 5 minutes and also leaves the user with craving to get high again. Taking crack stimulates the desire to want to do it again and again and again.
After the first 2 or 3 times, I was looking forward to it. I couldn't wait. You know, that pipe was your buddy, it was your friend.
And the depression?
The depression was, I can't describe how low it is. You go through such a low when you're out and you can't get any more that you're ready to kill for it.
Larry Bertoni lives with his wife Maureen and their 2 daughters in Phoenix, Arizona. He never thought he'd get hooked on crack, but figured he'd try it just once at a party.
And I never realized how much I'd like it. And then I was figuring, you know, once in a while would be all right to, you know, to feel this good.
Larry soon found himself smoking crack several times a day.
I was doing it in the bathroom without my wife knowing anything about it.
At first, Larry managed to keep his habit from interfering with his job and family. He and Maureen even made an appearance on Family Feud. Larry now admits most of his nervousness was not stage fright, but a craving for crack. It wasn't long before he was transformed into a stranger.
When I was on it, I didn't really want nothing to do with my wife or my kids. At one time, I wish I didn't have none of them. When it got really bad the last year and a half, I was drinking probably close to a case of beer a night just to come off, excuse me, just to come off the high of the Coke.
That's where I thought the problem was.
Yeah, she thought I was an alcoholic.
I didn't know that.
What made you go to get help?
I was arrested for stealing from my employer, and I had about a quarter of a gram on me. This is when Maureen was also pregnant. I realized with 2 kids and another one on the way, this is no life, and this is just not me. And this was a perfect time. I didn't think my wife would stay with me or my kids, you know, but they did, thank God.
Larry's been off crack for 4 months now. He's got a new job and he's working to pay off his debts and repay his former employer for the goods he stole to pay for his crack habit.
It took control of me, you know, immediately. After the second hit, I was addicted. I was hooked. And it was nothing that I could do about it at the time.
Lynn Carr had just come out of the Navy and a bad marriage when she tried crack. 1 year and $10,000 later, her life was a shambles.
It deteriorates you. You don't do nothing. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you don't comb your hair, you don't take a bath, you don't do anything.
4 weeks ago, Lynn joined a New York drug rehabilitation program called Daytop and discovered for the first time she was not alone in her addiction to crack.
I got into crack in December, and my uncle took out a $10,000 loan, and I never knew what crack was. I spent $10,000 on crack within a month and a half.
We would sit in this guy's house, you know, we would all sit in one room and we'd be smoking it, and then like after my high was gone, I would want more, and I would start like, you know, scheming how I was gonna get more. I would look for rocks on the floor.
That's how I felt. I'd rather have that crack than to have food, oxygen, air, my daughter, anything, and that's the worst thing in the world.
My uncle just like 3 days ago, he just slit his wrist open on crack. Okay, I came home one night and I saw blood all over my hallway. I asked what happened. They says my uncle had to go to the hospital because he was on the crack.
Crack will make you go on a mission and make you steal from yourself, from your mother, make you sell everything you have, including yourself, for it.
That's no lie. That's no lie.
It's
That's
terrible.
what I've been through. That's all I've been through.
But Lynn was saved from crack by a mission that was ultimately more important to her, raising her 4-year-old daughter, Zakiah.
I put myself in a position where I could lose my daughter, and she's all I have to live for. I sat in that chair and I debated suicide because of crack. A couple times.
What kept you from doing it?
My daughter, my grandmother's love, you know, the fact that I'm the only granddaughter she's got, and she told me, you know, with tears in her eyes, you know, she wouldn't let that happen to me. She would do anything she had to do to see that I beat the problem. And then, like I said, my daughter, you know, because she deserves a hell of a lot better than a crackhead for a mother. So.
This pipe used to tell me when to go to bed. Pipe would say, time to get up. Time for some smoke, Rich.
Comedian Richard Pryor smoked cocaine before the crack phenomenon, but his addiction routine strikes a chord with today's addicts.
I know you ain't gonna believe this, but if you've been doing it longer than 2 weeks, you're a junkie.
And I turned to my wife and I laughed and I said, that's ridiculous. We've been doing it for 3 weeks and I'm not hooked. And it was, you know, 14 months before I put it down.
John and his wife became addicts together. Before crack, he owned 2 successful businesses in Connecticut. The family used to enjoy all the trappings of success.
We ended up spending the last 6 months locked in our basement. We had the windows, it was a finished playroom. We had the windows stuffed with pillows. We had blankets over the pillows. We had blankets over the doors. We had the phones off the hook and we wouldn't answer the doorbell. I can remember sitting around one night and looking at our atelier, and these little figurines were just dancing around and walking around. And I knew it was an hallucination, but it was just like it was really happening. And it was scary. It was very scary.
What did crack cost you in terms of dollars and cents?
I would say close to $1 million.
Over?
Over a 14-month period.
And in human terms?
It probably cost me my marriage. It almost lost my children for me. And my parents at one point actually came over and took possession of the kids and said that we were unfit and that they would watch them and take care of them until we did something about it, whatever it was that wasn't wrong with us.
Their parents finally convinced the couple to go into therapy. And today, John is no longer using crack. The marriage, though, is over. The family divided. Do the feelings of guilt that you may have about what it did to your family also help keep you straight?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a big part of it. I received a phone call from my son when I was at Spofford Hall, and he said to me in this little boy voice, you know, I said, Daddy, are you ever going to do that again? And, you know, I immediately just broke down into tears, and I feel myself getting emotional right now just talking about it. And that's one of the things I try to think about, you know, if I ever get that urge, or when I ever get that urge, you know, there's other people out there that are counting on me, and that I just can't.
But for every reformed crack addict, people like John, Lynn, and Larry, there are hundreds of thousands of new users. Crack can be bought in every major American city and in many small towns. Suburbanites come to this immigrant neighborhood in New York every Friday night in search of weekend supplies. Here, curb service is available.
What's he got there? That's his crack. That's his stash. See that bag in his hand? He's selling right now. He is dealing.
Crack dealers in this area know they're under surveillance.
Central.
Narcotics police in northern Manhattan arrest small-time dealers almost every night. But there's so much money to be made selling crack, the risk of getting arrested deters very few. The problem's just as bad in middle-class neighborhoods.
Officer, how serious is the crack problem in this park?
Well, right at this moment, it's pretty bad. Matter of fact, it's getting worse every day by day.
Do you make busts here?
Sure, constantly.
How many a day would you?
Constantly. Well, you could call up every day, take 10, 15 every day.
And what happens after you're gone to book them?
Well, most likely they're out before we're out of court.
Crack arrests have so overloaded New York's courts and jails that most dealers will be on the streets within 24 hours. Penalties in dealing cases are based on the weight of the drugs confiscated. Crack doesn't weigh much, but is highly potent. So some of our laws are inadequate to deal with the crack epidemic.
Crack is to cocaine what an atom bomb is to a regular bomb. And what we'd like to do is to increase the penalties for cocaine base, for crack.
Narcotics prosecutor Sterling Johnson.
Local law enforcement is doing a good job, but the drug smugglers are doing an even better job.
Our drug epidemics in this country have gone way beyond the point where we can solve them by law enforcement efforts alone.
Dr. Arnold Washington.
Too many people have a casual attitude towards these powerful mood-altering substances. Using mood-altering drugs like crack or any form of cocaine, I think, is nothing short of playing Russian roulette with your health and with your life.
Well, I just told her Mommy's back to stay, and she understands. I'll never use crack again. No shape, form, fashion. Nothing could ever make me do it again.
Life is too precious and too valuable. I mean, there's so many things that I want to live for today, and I know that they're gone for me if I ever try it again.
So every night I have dreams of doing it, doing coke, and I do it in my dreams. But when I wake up, I'm so glad that it wasn't real. That it's just every morning I wake up happy.